Hi everyone, welcome to the Clutter Garden. Today I'm going to start my onion seeds. Now I normally would have started them maybe earlier in the week, but I just had too much going on earlier in the week, so today's the day. Now I am on the western coast of Washington State and we're considered Zone 8B, and long date onions are the best ones for us to grow. So I will be growing pretty much same variety as I did last year. So I'll be doing this Zebroon shallot, this Cipollini onion. I have a Davidor. It's supposed to be a good storage onion, or no, not that one, but this one, this Patterson onion, and this Red Bull are both supposed to be good storage onions. This Walla Walla Sweet, I always grow Walla Wallas. They do really well for me. This Ailsa Craig, I always grow. Yellow of Parma. And then two white onions. This Southport White Globe and this White Sweet Spanish. Now these two are from, some of these are from 2024. So I will just empty out the packets on these because I expect the germination rate to be pretty low at this point. I've got my tags and my marker. And here I just have some potting soil that has a few amendments in it. Normally when I make my soil, I do a mixture of worm castings, cocoa coir, and vermiculite. But I don't have any of those things at the moment. A couple of those are coming. Well, I do have vermiculite, and I'll put a coating of vermiculite on top of the seedlings. But this was a seed mix. I think this was the mix from Walmart, the indoor or the container gardening mix. And you see I'm on my dining room table, but I got this mat here, which will help with cleanup. Now this soil was pretty hydrophobic when I first put it in here. So I just wet it down with some warm water and let it sit for a good 10 minutes, mixing it up occasionally. Because you don't want the soil to be completely dry. And you definitely don't want it to be hydrophobic when you're starting your seeds, because it will take a really long time to get the soil moist enough to be okay with your seeds. I'm using these seed starting containers. They were on a deep sale at Greenstock, and so I just decided to go ahead and I bought two of these. They were super cheap, which is why I bought them. I also have a pink one, and I think they have them in blueberry right now. I would love to get them, but I just can't. I have other things I need to do, so I can't be spending the money on that at the moment. So what onion seeds are you guys starting? If you're starting it, do you guys buy your sets yourself, or do you guys buy your sets from the store or online, or do you start them yourself? And then let me know where you're located, what zone you're in, and what types of onions you're going to be growing this year. When I first started, I didn't realize that you needed to grow a specific variety, long day, short day, or intermediate, in order to do well. So now I know that when you're packing your soil, and you don't want to pack it in so tightly that it becomes compacted in there, but you also don't want any air pockets. So I'm going to stop right here for now, and then I will, if I need another one, we'll go ahead. So I am going to go ahead and write out my tags right now. Okay, so I have my tags written out already. Some of these tabs are in use, so I just crossed out what was on there before on the back. I'm going to start with this yellow of Parma. How I like to do my onions are, I like to intensity plant. And all that means is I'm not going to do, you know, like one or two or a handful of seeds in each pocket. I like to just go through and plant a whole bunch of seeds, okay? And like I said, because these are older seeds, I'm going to plant them pretty heavily. To see if I can get a decent amount in here, okay? And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and that's yellow of Parma, and then I got the 2 whites. Okay. For these ones that are pretty old, I'm going to do 2 pockets of each. And onion seeds are usually black. Same thing with chives and shallots. They're black, they're small. So it's going to be hard to see them through the camera, but they're there. I'll just press them in here. I will cover these, but I'm going to do my initial press. Now, onion seeds are really, really easy to separate, okay? All right, so we did yellow, white. Keep those in order over there. Okay, so this is all I have of the Southport White Globe. So what I'll do, those will all go in one pocket. And then what I'll do is I'll put the white sweet Spanish in the other pockets. Actually, what I'm going to do in that last pocket, I'm going to mix them. And I'll just make a wild card label. And we'll see what comes up when they do germinate. Okay. So now I'm just going to put a little bit of soil over the top and press it down so that the seed makes contact with the soil. Okay. I also, when I was mixing this soil earlier, I took out any sticks or twigs, and I tried to break down as many of the clumps as possible. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Not striving for perfection here. But there it is. Okay. Now the soil is nice and moist, okay? Now I am going to go ahead and label these. Yellow of Parma is these first two, and then white sweet Spanish are the next two. This Southport white globe is this last one. And then I'll just go ahead and put mix for this final one. All right. And then I'm just going to sit it right here for now while we work on the next set. Okay, so next we're going to start with these Davidor. I don't have a lot of these seeds. In fact, I really only have enough for, I think I'll go ahead and spread them out over 2 pockets. Anyway, give them a little space. And then just press them down. Okay, so that's Davidor first. I also only have a little bit of these Patterson. I mean, I think I only have 1 pocket's worth of the Patterson. Yeah, not a lot. So, and the Patterson, even though they're good storage onions, they don't produce really large onions from what I could figure. So Davidor, Patterson, and then Red Bull. I don't eat a lot of red onions just because if I eat too many, then I tend to get heartburn. So but what I found is I didn't plant enough last year. So I'm just going to go ahead and plant all of these. And if for some reason I have more than I want, I can always give them away. No big deal. All right. And it feels really good to go through and empty out seed packets. You know why? Because I can buy more seeds for next year. I always love buying seed. But when it's time to buy new seed, you can start thinking about, you know, if you want to experiment with the different variety, etc., etc. And I love experimenting with different varieties. Okay, and then let's do the last. You know, I will probably need one more because these two, these Walla Wallas and the Elsa Craig, I definitely want more of. So yeah, I'll do one more. I'm going to plant all of these. So let's see what we got here. pack them in. There's not enough for me to save for next year. So I'm just not. Okay, so those are Walla Wallas. And then these are the Elsa Craig. Don't know if I'm going to be able to plant all of these because there's a lot more in there. That's a new pack from last year. So I should have really good germination rate this year. Yeah, good. Now, one thing I really have a hard time doing is, hey, where am I going to plant all these onions? Yeah, that's cute. It's cute that you should say that. I typically put my onions in green stalks. I've been doing that for the last few years, and that has been working out for me really, really well. I used to plant them in raised beds, and I never had the best of luck with that. I know people plant them in ground, etc. I don't know. We have a lot of slugs and snails here in the Pac Northwest just because of the moisture levels and all of that. So I do a lot of indoor seed starting, even for things you would not think you could start indoors. I start indoors successfully because if you put them out there, they're more than likely going to get eaten by a slug or a snail, or the birds. I mean, the birds are also a thing around here. Oh, you know what? Oh no, I did the Walla Walla first. I had to stop and think which one I did. All right, so those are those two. I'm going to do one more of these for our last sets of onions. Okay, so for this last one, I did use the rest of those Jello of Parmas in here. I only got 2 pockets of the Cipolinis before those were done. And then this whole last row is our shallots. So that is it. I've got 4 containers for onions for 2026. But I do have all of this soil left. One thing new that I did this year, that I'm doing this year, because it's a whole process thing. Hold on. So one thing I decided to do this year was to actually go through all my seeds and organize them based on what I'm going to plant when. So like this one is what I'm going to plant for 12 weeks and 11 and 7 and whatever. So the only thing I didn't do that with is the carrots because I tend to plant these multiple times throughout the season. And I still have some carrots out there right now. So I don't know when I'm going to start these. However, our projected last frost is the middle of April. It is the 10th of January right now. So we're about 12 weeks out, 13 weeks out from our last frost date. So technically I could get these going right now. So what I'm going to do is I will fill up my last 2 seed starting containers with a mix and see how far we get with this 12-week box. And then the rest of these I will do on schedule so that I am not so overwhelmed with how many seeds I have going at a time. All right, so what I have in my 12-week bin, I have giant red celery, Chinese white celery, Chinese pink celery. This is a celeriac Mars artichoke. I don't know if I'm going to start those. Golden boy celery, And this is a dahlia of unknown variety that I got at a seed swap. So I do have, even right now out there in the yard, I have two up front and one in the back, artichokes that are still growing, and it is January 10th, like I said. So I might just plant one or two of these, maybe two of these, just to be on the safe side. I don't plant artichokes to eat. I plant artichokes for their flowers. So I will go ahead and get these labels done. Okay, so for the celery, you typically need to surface sow those. So that's what I did. I am going to cover them with some vermiculite because light is able to pass through the vermiculite and it'll help keep the moisture in. Okay, so that is my onions plus my 12-week starts done. So now I can wait a couple of weeks. What I'll do is I will put these in the corresponding trays, make sure they get bottom watered. I might give them one spray on the top with some water, but other than that, I'll be bottom watering these for the rest of their time, and I'll get you some updates as they progress. Thanks for watching. Bye.